So, job interview tips and how to handle difficult questions.
Interviewing sucks. I get it. Interviews create stress for both parties involved, but for especially you as the candidate. To help you feel more confident, here's a way to change your thinking and approach the interview in a different way.
Now, here's the thing to dread those tricky job interview questions. Don't sweat it. Learn to provide strategy to confident and handle any challenges and impression in your interview. So, I've been doing business for a while. I have done thousands of interviews. I have talked to a bunch of people. I talked to HR. And here's the thing that you need to understand. These interview questions are not a secret. Now, maybe once in a while you get a surprise question, but at the end of the day, you should practice these questions, understand what impact it has. Well, the main impact, it tells you a lot about that person. So here's the importance of the job interview question. Now,
So tell me about yourself.
I
if you really want a job, you need to make preparation. So the very first thing to do whenever you do a interview or you know there's an interview, you need to prep and see who's your interviewer, which most times they give you, and look them up online to see what they do, what they like, and what their personality is. Is it kind of stalkers? Yes. But this is how you make preparation for your interview. And then you go on Glassdoor, Indeed, and see what type of interview questions they kind of ask, or even ask HR what type of question does that person ask, and they generally will give you an answer. So once you do all that, and here's the important thing you need to understand. You need to understand that interview questions are always going to be there. You're just not going to get a job. So you need to make sure you understand it properly. And I'm just trying to help you get a job with all my years of experience being a boss and how I chose people, how I picked people. And it was important for me to ask these questions to understand the personality of a person. So the importance of the preparation. Now highlight the significance of preparation through these tough interview questions. So I will give you a bunch of tough interview questions. And the reason why I said it's significant to prepare for them is because they're not going to be surprised if you don't prepare for them. You are going to be taken back and you're not going to know how to reply to some of these questions. And I'm going to look at it like, oh, you didn't even prep for the interview, so do you even want this job? And this is the thing about that if you already make preps and understand what type of questions they're going to answer, especially if it's common industry questions like how do you fix this? How do you deal with the customer? What was the worst accident that you ever dealt with? What was the worst incident between a coworker you ever had and how did you resolve it? These are type of questions that they will ask for you in certain job fields. So you might want to make sure you understand what's the common question. Now, I have to stress very, very much on doing the research on the company and their current landscape. How do they have their management style? How do they have their structure for, are they profit, non-profit? What is the benefit of work for the company? What does the company do? You need to look everything about the landscape of this company. Like the mission statement. Yes, it kind of sounds stupid that you need to understand the mission statement. Do you have to have it memorized? No, but you need to know what the mission statement and what it generally means to people so that you understand that you are prepping. So here's how I would prep for a job. I would go and ask all the questions to HR or whoever's asking me to do the interview, to who's my interviewer, how long has he been working with the company, and what type of interview question he'll do. And then I'll go to the company's website and look up the mission statement, how long they've been in operation. You know, since I'm in the executive role, I want to see how much money they're bringing in, how well they've been doing, if they've been in the red, what some of the benefits I can bring to the company. These are the things I would do at executive level, because if I want to join as an executive, I already have to have game plans and ready to go, how to improve the current situation, following the mission statement. So these are preparation I have to have. If you want to become a manager and it's a brand new role, you're going to have to learn what type of management style you want to implement, and then the interviewer is going to have to agree to that management style so that y'all can be on the same page. No one wants to hire a executive that has no plans. You just have to know that. And same thing with entry level work. No one wants to hire you because you have no experience. They want you to try to get some experience on your own, even if it's no internship or even have some life experience doing nonprofit work, so they understand you're reliable, you show up, and that you actually know how to work. Now, there's a method you can use. It's mastering the STAR method. What is the STAR method? It's situational, task, action, and results. And you structure response to that. So what happened and what would you do if your coworker is yelling at you? What would you do in that situation? Now, in that situation, you know you're getting yelled at. So, what task are you going to do? What's the action? And what's the result you're trying to get from it? So, I'm getting yelled at by a customer or a coworker. Well, first, my task is to calm the person down so it doesn't disrupt the business. So, everyone understands the very first task is to get the situation de-escalated. And what is my action plan for this? My action plan is to talk to them or pull them to the side away from the public view so they can run off some steam. And the result is a calmer work environment, and it's a non-toxic, because sometimes people get mad and they need to let off some steam. So you understand, I just ran through the STAR method for an angry customer or an angry coworker. And it's generally how they want you to structure the questions. So if you organize your thought like this, saying, what was the situation? What's the task at hand? What's the action plan? And what's the results? You understand how to structure a question for an interview. No one wants someone to keep talking. And here's another example how what you don't want to do. So you are going to be walking in and you find out the office was ransacked or was broken into. What do you do in this situation as a new employee? And you start saying, well, I will call the cops and then I will tell my manager and then I will wait for their response to see what they want me to do. That's a response. It's not a bad response, but at the end of the day, it's a response that is a very generic one. The better answer is I would send an email and text message to everyone that's applied into the office about the situation. I'll take pictures of the situation and make sure I call 911, giving the detail to my boss of the case number and the time frame that this happened. So you start structuring as a more organized task. So what task did I do? I start taking pictures. I start notifying staff and the employees and upper management. And then my action is to call the cops, to organize my thoughts and get evidence of what happened and not just wait. And the result is a nice organized situation that everyone knows and everyone can start asking questions so you can help guide this along. Now, there's a bunch of different questions and those are just a generic one. So let's talk about another type of question they like. Navigating behavior questions. Yes, they're going to ask you behavior type of questions because the purpose of this is assess the candidate. What will you do in certain situation and your behavior? Because that is the common time to tell me what you do. So tell me about a time you failed and how did you deal with it? I offer you a very responsible tip to this, and it's to be honest and positive. If you have a negative outlook at it, it's going to show that you have a negative behavior into action. So you want to give a positive outlook. So tell me about a time you failed. Well, I failed to start a business at one point, and the reason why I failed was due to piss poor management. And now I can go into it. So what did I do in this situation? Well, what I did, instead of going to Debbie Downer or look down it, I just moved forward and started another business that it does a similar line of work or just got out of the industry because I no longer want to deal with this industry because I have too much stuff going on and I want to spend time with my family. So I gave them a certain situation and now they know that I'm a family person and I knew what the instance is going to happen if I start another business that's going to take a lot of my time. So you have to understand what's your behavior and how do you react to these failures. And this is what they want to hear. Now, there could be other instances like, hey, when was a repair failed job for you and what do you do in this situation? Well, I give you an example of a bad answer or a generic answer. I failed to order the right part. I told my customer this and then I informed my manager and then I went on with my day. So that is not a wrong answer. The correct answer that I would like to hear as an interviewer is this. I ordered the wrong part based off the information that was given to me. I apologize for that situation to the customer and inform them that the ETA for the next equipment or date for the part will come in this day. And I informed my staff and managers that this situation going on. I also went down to see if I can do any other troubleshooting to get the device going or XYZ and talk to my coworkers, see if I can find if any of them have a part that they can delay their repair so I get my customer up and going. So it sounds like now I am trying to work around it for my mistake and I already apologized to customer and I admitted to my mistake instead of blaming it on someone else. So for me, admit to the mistake is the first thing that I would like to see. And then finding workarounds, asking coworkers for help, seeing that I'm trying to get assistance from the team, and me informing manager and upper management, let them know that, okay, what can we do to help you in this situation? And he admit to the mistake. He did follow the guidelines and something happened. So they could try to fix it on their end. Because at the end of the day, they want to make sure you are best for the situation and they like to see what your result is because what you tell them in an interview is going to be similar to what's going to happen in the future because it will happen and they want to see what your result and see if it continues on. Now, another thing is handling situational questions. So here is another one that a lot of people need to understand. The situation interview question is focused on future scenarios that will happen eventually. At the end of the day, these scenarios does happen and we can't go away from it. As a business owner and watching other people run their business, this happened in almost every business. And I'm going to offer you the best example of a situational. How would you handle a conflict with a coworker? And this is always the thing. There's always conflict with coworkers, good, bad, medium. There's something always going on. And some people was like, I would do my best to work with them and I would just keep it very professional. Now, that is not a wrong answer. Now, what they want to hear is I have conflict with my coworker. Well, first thing I will do is sit down with my coworker and discuss why we might have some conflict and see if we can go from a conflict to a more cordial work environment. Because sometimes religious belief or other things don't align and y'all just don't get along. But if you said this, I'm going to sit down with them and see if I can work it out. And if we cannot work it out, I'll ask management to sit down so we can try to work a proper work-life environment for us so that we don't step on or backstab each other. Showing that you're taking initiative to trying to get the environment into a better situation. And that's a better solution than a generic one. So make sure you understand how to handle a coworker and conflict at work. And it could be anything from them doing something bad, from you not getting along with your coworker. So this is the things you have to understand. They will ask you some of these questions in interview because they want to know how you handle these type of situations because they know a conflict with a coworker will happen eventually. And lastly, and this is the big thing about interviews, leave a lasting impression. So stress the significance of closing the interview with confidence and professionalism. Just asking thoughtful questions demonstrate engagement and curiosity. And I encourage every one of my viewers to like and subscribe to my video and tell these people whenever you go in an interview that you're interested in the position. Now, whenever I tell you leave a lasting impression, I am talking about you leave it as professional and confident as you can. And whenever you do go in, you need to demonstrate questions. Now, I'm not asking you to ask 1,000 questions, but asking 2 or 3 questions at the interview leaves a better interview situation. And it could be something little. What's the benefit like? When can I hear back from y'all? What is the ETA, or how long does this process take? All these type of questions is very good question to have at the end, and you have to pick questions that you deem fit for this situation, because sometimes it's just a promotion, sometimes it's just a situation that to help improve the work-life environment, and these are the things that you need to do. And I encourage you really to leave this impression on them, showing that you're interested in the position. So those are how you navigate the tough and difficult questions for the interview. You need to master the STAR method. It's the big thing. Situation, task, action, results. Once you understand that, then you just need to understand what type of navigation or what type of behavior questions they're going to ask, and how would you like to answer them, and how to handle situational questions, because those are always going to be asked. And at the end of the day, as long as you do the preparations for the interview, I believe you'll be good to go. And subscribe to my video, and that's all I got for you.